as you may have heard. So will these changes somehow turn around the White House's messaging and its relationship with the press? Let's bring in Chairman of the American Conservative Union, Matt Schlapp, and former White House Communications Director under President Obama, Anita Dunn. Great to see both of you.
Great to be here.
Anita, I want to start with you. Anthony Scaramucci is an interesting guy. He is on the record, on Twitter, on videotape, disagreeing with many of President Trump's positions. Anthony Scaramucci is pro-choice. He's pro-gun control. He's against the death penalty. He's called President Trump a spectacle. He said that he doesn't like how President Trump has spoken about women. I mean, I could go on. How is this going to work for him to be the head of President Trump's communications team?
You know, it's not unusual for people who in the past have disagreed with a candidate to end up working with them, especially when you've gone through a contested primary process. This does seem to be a rather aggravated example of that. You know, Anthony Scaramucci has made the decision he is going to be Donald Trump's spokesperson, and in that capacity, he is in many ways like his lawyer. I've always said a good press secretary is like a good lawyer. You're arguing your case. What's interesting about his approach to the job is that rather than seeing it as a job where he's communicating the administration's priorities out to the public, at least initially he seems to see this job as one where he has to communicate to the president how great he is. That is a non-traditional job description for the White House Communications Director.
That's a diplomatic term. It's a slightly non-traditional. And Matt, look, it's been said before that there is a constituency of one sometimes when you hear the press office speaking, because they know that they're going to go back to the White House and President Trump is going to give them a grade on how he thinks they did. So sometimes they telegraph their feelings directly to the president. As you heard, I think Anthony Scaramucci, they're saying, I love the president is wonderful. But what about all of these different positions that he's had than President Trump? Does he just sublimate his own feelings? And now he's no longer pro-choice, he's no longer pro-gun control, he no longer has any objection to what the president has said in the past?
Yeah, it's the hard, cold reality, Allison. You know, when you join an administration, when you work for a White House, it's no longer about your opinions, it's about the president's opinions. And the hard thing for people who are in the communication shop who have to actually speak for a president is they have to kind of put their ideas aside. And the reason why you take the job, you might ask yourself, well, why would someone who has disagreements with the president take the job? In most cases, it's because they really admire that president they work for. They like the agenda overall. And they want to be an asset to that. But I can't tell you how many times, in my experience, when people are having beers at the end of the day, then the real honest disagreements come out. But when the cameras are on, you've got the president's back.
Yeah, I get it. But it just seems to me that he's farther away from the president's agenda than we've heard other recent press secretaries.
I don't think that's right.
Well, let me just play for you. I mean, this is the thing that Anthony Scaramucci says he wishes he hadn't said and that he could take back. So this is where he was on Fox News calling President Trump a name. So listen to this.
That's another hack politician.
You call Donald Trump a hack?
He's a hack politician. He's probably going to make Elizabeth Warren his vice presidential nominee with comments like that.
Do you think he's a
It's
plant?
Anti-American. It's very, very divisive.
You think Donald's a plant?
And I'll tell you who he's going to be president of. You can tell Donald I said this. The Queens County Bullies Association. You got to cut it out now and stop all this crazy rhetoric.
I mean, he calls him American, a bully, a hack. I mean, just one more second with you, Matt. This is a long bridge to cross for Anthony Scaramucci.
Yeah, let me tell you, Allison, I think about this every time I come on your show. Words come to haunt you. And I don't think the president, if he's ever mad at Scaramucci, I think he might play that tape for him and remind him that he said these things. But look, the president has seen it all. And I know that they have a good and warm personal relationship. And actually, it's exactly what the White House needs. The president needs a communications team who he will listen to and who he respects at this time more than ever.
Anita, President Trump just has a new tweet out right now. Let me read it for you. I know that you haven't seen this yet, so you'll be responding in real time. Drain the swamp should be changed to drain the sewer. It's actually much worse than anyone thought, and it begins with the fake news. So President Trump does, I mean, look, President Trump does his own communicating with the public. Anthony Scaramucci then has to, I guess, expound on that or sometimes clean it up. He is going to have a challenging job.
he has the most challenging job in Washington because, I think most presidents feel at the end of the day that their communications could be better, that if people just understood them better, they would have much more support. Again, Donald Trump is his own communications director, his own political director, to some extent his own chief of staff, as he was his own campaign manager. That makes Anthony Scaramucci's job that much more challenging. I think that as he actually learns what the job is, because of course he has no government experience, the same way the president has no government experience, he may find that it is indeed tougher than he had thought.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens over the course of the next few days and weeks. Matt, Anita, thank you very much.